This episode is brought to you by Vegums. Hello and welcome to today's episode in which I try and satisfy my craving for cookies. I made some of Miyoko Shina's chocolate almond polenta puffs from her vegan pantry cookbook, and they were delicious. And I've also just bought another big bottle of maple syrup, so I figured let's try and do some maple pecan. In my bowl here, I've got 120 grams of wholemeal bread flour. The original recipe, says to use whole wheat pastry flour. I didn't have any, so I used bread flour and it works fine. You could probably use any kind of flour, I imagine. I don't think it's so specific. I need to melt half a cup of butter, which is also 120 grams, so I'm gonna bang that in the microwave. While that's in the microwave, I'm gonna crumble in 70 grams of toasted pecans. They've gone a little bit dark. The air fryer caught me out. I think it should be fine. Just break them down into smaller bits. And once they're toasted, they're quite brittle. And I'm preheating the oven to 350 Fahrenheit, which is about 160 centigrade / Celsius, whichever one you prefer. I've got 1 cup of ground almonds, so it's not quite a powder, it's not a flour, just very fine. And that's around 110 grams. The thing with cups is they're very imprecise, but it's not gonna make a major difference. Half a cup of polenta, and this is roughly ground dried corn. So you can use grits as well, that would work absolutely fine. Teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of salt. This isn't in the original, but I'm going to put that in there for a bit of extra flavour. And then just give that a sieve through. Stir that together. And I'll pour in the butter. So that was the half cup of butter, 120 grams. The original recipe uses melted chocolate, so I might have to slightly tweak the dry ingredients here if it's too wet or too dry. Let's see. Got a nice crumbly texture. That might work on top of like an apple crumble. I think it's called an apple crisp in the States. So kind of stewed fruit on the bottom and then a nice crunchy topping. And I'll try that at some point. Then add half a cup of maple syrup, 180 grams. Give that a really good stir. Put this to the side just for a few minutes just to kind of absorb and soak up and become a little bit denser, stay together in a dough. I'll introduce you to this week's partner, which is Vegums, and they make lots of different vitamins for vegans, so they're made without any animal products. Jelly sweets are made with gelatin, which is boiled up bones and skin, in case you didn't know. So for your first order, we'll send you this gorgeous little tub, and it can be recycled, composted, or upcycled. So I'm sure I'm going to put that to use for brushes, pens, that kind of thing. You also get a great little tin to store the vitamins in, and then you get the vitamins themselves. A word on their packaging: it's plastic free, made out of cornstarch. That's going to go straight in the compost bin and all the critters can feast on it. Yay! So these contain iodine, folic acid, selenium, vitamin D3, and then vitamins B12 and B6, which are all really important for a vegan diet. So let's have a little try of one. These are fine for adults and children, but no younger than 3. You get a rather adorable little gummy bear. So this is the strawberry flavour. That's really tasty. So 2 is the dose per day. And they've got a really nice texture. So head over to vegums.com and use order code RACH15 to get 15% off your first order. I'm going to set up trays with silicone baking mats just to put the cookies on, so I can see the mixture's holding into a nice little ball. It's not falling apart or anything. So make them whatever size you like. I'm doing, I guess that's probably like maybe 2 tablespoons, something like that. And Miyoko does them just as little balls like that, but I might try doing it more as a flat biscuit cookie. This is the most laborious part of the recipe. Just repeating this over and over and over and over again. For an extra bit of crunch and maple flavour on top, I'm going to try out some of these. Maple syrup granules. They were an impulse purchase the other morning. 2 a.m, eBay, it's dangerous. And they've got really crunchy sort of texture and a mild maple syrup flavour. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on each one, see what it's like. It could be that they melt because of the maple syrup wetness and also the butter, but it's worth a shot. Let's see what happens. And then I'm just going to press the granules in slightly because it doesn't puff up. I don't want them to just fall off. Then chuck these in the oven. The recipe says 10 minutes, but if I remember correctly from last time, they needed about 20, so we'll see. These had an additional 10 minutes, so 20 altogether. Give them a check. These ones are on the bottom shelf, so I'm just going to put them on the upper level just for a couple of minutes. And you'll know they're done when they're slightly hard on top, and then they just need to cool down. I'm transferring the cookies onto a cooling rack just to help get cool air all around them. I'll let them cool down for 20 minutes, half an hour, just so they can get really nice and crispy. And I'll see you back here for the eating. It's cookie time! Yay! They've gone very crunchy. Almost like a ginger snap sort of texture. So I'm going to shove one in my mouth. That's delicious. Very crunchy, but not so much so that it rips the roof of your mouth to pieces. As soon as you bite into it, it starts crumbling apart. They're not excessively sweet either. There's a nice sweetness to them, but they're not sugary. What I'm going to try with this mixture is to maybe pack it down solid into a baking sheet, rough it a tiny bit so it kind of crumbles, bake it, and then use that on top of my yogurt in the morning. So I think that might make a nice kind of granola. Possibly stick some oats in as well. There's a slight chewiness to them as well in the middle, which is really nice. So you've got the nice crispy crunchy bit on the outside, and in the centre it's a little bit softer, and kind of when you bite into it in your back teeth, it's just got a nice chewiness, which is really good. For more nutty and syrupy shenanigans, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, and that way they'll slide straight into your inbox.